or, behind the dish, he takes them both extremely seriously. And he gets prepared for a game, better than most guys I've ever caught that have caught me. Practicing catching the low ball, that was the thing that, that wasn't a thing 5 years ago, even, maybe a little bit later than that. But, the pitching machine out there, them just throwing curveballs at guys and them working on, catching and framing pitches before the game. And I think that's a huge thing that you've seen in the last, 5 whatever years that has obviously become a big part of the game and, why ABS is coming into existence, right? So, Kirky is such a good low ball catcher that, he's at least going to give you that, and he's an exceptional blocker, and he throws the ball extremely well too, and he loves trying to throw guys out. So he's always trying to back pick guys, and really just kind of locked in on all aspects and, facets of the game, to be honest.
Third row up front, Mike.
Kev, I know there's still work to do, but you've said multiple times that the reason you came here is to win a championship, and now that you're another step closer and 8 wins away, how does that feel?
Yeah, it's fun. It's even more fun to do it with this group of guys. It's a special group of guys that are, no one's selfish in this bunch, and you've really seen that. If you've watched us play at all this year, I think if you've come to an entire series, you're not going to walk away with, I love this one guy. You're going to have a lot of guys that you really like to watch play, and they play the they play the game the right way, and they play fundamental baseball, and so, they make it really easy to root for.
And the last series they had Aaron Judge to deal with. This series it's Cal Raleigh, who's really, come into his own this year, but he's always been this guy against you guys. Is there a special plan for him? Do you have to treat him the same way that you guys treated a Judge?
I don't know. I don't know yet. We'll have those conversations probably later today or tomorrow. But what a season he's had, and what a great switch hitter at such a hard position to hit. To catch as many games as he has. What a season he's put together. I also feel confident with myself that I can go out and get him out. I've got him out before, and so. Now it's just about mixing up pitches and trying to kind of keep them off balance.
One row behind, Jake.
When you got here a couple years ago, Vlad was only 23 years old. He was a big star at the time, but in what ways have you seen him grow over the last 4 seasons as a hitter, as a player, and as a person?
Yeah, I think as a player, I think we've all seen it. I think before he kind of would try to push the envelope a little bit and pick kind of some spots to maybe take some big swings where, maybe he shouldn't. But, he's really kind of come into his own when it comes to plate discipline and knowing exactly what he's looking for. And, I give some credit to Popkins and those guys too as well. He's been locked in. His at-bats this season have been, some of the best that I've seen since I've been here. Everybody talks about, I think, 2020 when he was here, and how kind of he jumped onto the scene that year in 21. But this year I think has been the best that I've seen him, and obviously, last series he was incredible, and but defensively too. I think people don't give him the credit that he deserves, which is crazy because he's already won a Gold Glove, but. He's an exceptional first baseman, and he's great at throwing. And, a lot like Kirk, he loves to throw guys out too. So, he's pretty invested in the game, and he's always thinking. And he's a fun guy to watch play.
And when you say, when you talk about his plate discipline specifically, is that him developing an understanding of if the pitcher misses in the zone, I can do damage, but I need to force him into my zone? And as a pitcher, what is difficult about facing one of the elite hitters when they're playing their game against you?
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like I've known Vladdy enough now to where I can watch an at bat, and when he kind of shimmies and kind of does his thing, you can tell he's feeling pretty good. So usually when he does that, something good is going to happen. He always hits the ball hard, so you can kind of count on that. But it's his ability to get to so many different pitches. He can get to a fastball up and in. The big grand slam was, I think, 97 in. He's a guy that can really get to the ball in, but he can also flip you for a base hit if you just throw him sliders down and away. And I think his maturation the last couple of years has been understanding what guys are trying to get him out with and kind of using that to his advantage.
Across the aisle, Kevin, third row on your left.
Hi, Kevin. You've been here for 4 seasons. I haven't heard the Rogers Center so loud as it was for the Game 1 start at the ALDS. What's it been like for you to play in front of these fans and see that audience, that the enthusiasm for it? All through the streets, people are wearing Jays gear, the buzz.
Yeah, I mean, it's really been a lot of fun. We have really loved playing at home, especially the last 2 months. We feel the love when we play here, and I mean, even just driving around the city, you notice everybody. They used to be wearing Yankees hats, and now they're kind of wearing. You see a lot more Blue Jays hats in Toronto, and so it's turned into a really exciting. I think part of that has to go to the organization with what they've turned Rogers Center into. I think as a fan, it's really a great fan experience now, whereas, before I don't know if it was as nearly as good as it is now. It's kind of one big party some nights. I mean, you can hear the music up there in the Corona rooftop, and I don't know how many bars there are in here, but I think everybody's drinking and having a pretty good time, and that's why they're pretty loud.
The hats, how long are they going to stick around for?
I don't know. We'll see. Everybody likes wearing them, and nobody's going to go against them right now. So, we'll see what happens.
Go to Rob in the sixth row.
Hey, Kevin. John was just in here, and he spoke a little bit about how significant last September was in terms of a bit of a reckoning with the team, and maybe that was a little bit of a turning point. You've talked about it as well. Was there any point that you thought that things maybe turned the corner in this team getting to where it is today?
Definitely the conversations that we had in the off season of, kind of looking inward at what we needed to change, what things we really thought we were lacking. But honestly, the biggest thing was probably spring training. I just remember looking back, like first week and a half. I mean, I'm watching Max Scherzer throw, 75 pitch bullpens on day 2. I was pretty fired up for like looking at our team and, what we could be. And so I think we all really just had confidence in ourselves and in the talent and in each other, and, knowing that, older guys looking at some of these young guys that like, hey, they could really take the next step, and they have. And so, all those things kind of coming together, obviously, have got us to where we are.
Greg, up front on your right, Kevin.
Kevin, what did it mean to you to get another Game 1 start, and do you relish the opportunity to try to set the tone for the series?
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you're handed, I said this before, anytime you're handed the ball for what is the most important game up to this point, you're always going to be fired up and ready for that. And so I'm excited to see what tomorrow night is going to be like here, and I'm ready to go.
Ken in the fifth row on your left, Kev.
Kevin, 2019, that's the year you got waived, claimed by the Reds, then you get non-tendered at the end of the season. What lessons, if any, from that year have you carried forward and applied today?
Just belief in myself, to be honest. Even when I was in the bullpen in Cincinnati, I still believe that I could be one of the best pitchers in baseball. And so maybe that I was a little naive, but, that's just kind of the confidence that I have in myself.
One row ahead to Shy.
Hey, Kev. As someone who's come out of the bullpen in a postseason series to pitch late in the game the way Gilbert and Castillo did last night, can you describe how taxing an experience that is for a starting pitcher to throw under those circumstances?
Yeah, I'll be lucky. I've only done it twice, I believe, or maybe 3 times. And 2 of them were, I was 22. I was Trey, so I felt pretty good every day. But it's definitely taxing. But at this point in the year, you're pitching on adrenaline. You're playing for each other. You're playing for the guys next to you, and you kind of saw that. I mean, I was sleeping, I didn't see it, but a lot of these guys pitched, last night and really kind of gave their team a great effort to go on. And so, you got to kind of give them credit, and that's just kind of playoff baseball, and it's really fun. I mean, me and Max joke, 2021, we were both pitching Game 5, in the NLDS, so in the ninth inning, so coming out of the bullpen. So, that's just kind of what you kind of have to expect, and as a fan of baseball, I think it's a lot of fun.
And just physically, what are some of the things that you're doing, have done over these couple weeks, both before the ALDS start, before this one, that maybe is different from the stuff you'd be doing during the regular season to prepare?
Yeah, I mean, more so just kind of load management. If you're doing 5 reps, kind of take it down to 4 or 3, and kind of go down to how you're feeling. But yeah, you're pitching on adrenaline. Once you get out there, you're gonna be feeling pretty good.
Do 2 last ones, Mike and then Dan. Mike, go ahead.
Kev, when Schneider was in here, when Miles was in here, he talked about the Bo homer in Texas that he thinks sort of started to turn things around. But when you guys were in Seattle, I think you had lost 16 out of 21 and swept the Mariners. You had the first game in that one. How big was that series, given what had happened the previous 3 weeks, to getting this thing back on the rails?
Yeah, I mean, looking back, that was definitely a big series, big turning point for us. Definitely the first time we've swept them at home since I've been here. And I just remember George kind of saying how hard it is to do there, to sweep them at home. He'd played in that division for a really long time, and so it's just such a hard place to play. I mean, it's and I think especially the Blue Jays. I mean, when we go there, it's even if it's in the middle of the week, it's pretty packed and a really cool environment, and the fan bases definitely kind of go back and forth on them kind of talking crap about Canada and saying that the states are better and whatnot, and so it's kind of a fun rivalry for sure, and but yeah, that was a huge turning point.
And just as the caps again, you've got the old school logo on. Is this a conscious choice to bring that one in?
Yeah, this is just what I've been wearing for a while. Just playing catch and whatnot. Yeah, I just love these hats. I mean, this logo is so cool, and this was the Hall of Fame game. So, yeah.
We'll finish up with Dan.
Hey, Kev, you've got a lot of experience against some of the Seattle hitters, but you haven't seen them since May. How do you balance your personal experience against them versus things can change over 4 or 5 months, and you might get information that's a little bit different to your own personal experience?
Yeah, I'm a little bit different than most guys. I'm not Chris Bassett. I don't have 7 pitches, so I don't have to do as much deep diving. But yeah, I'll definitely take a look at their tendencies and kind of what they've changed, if I think they've changed their approach at all, or but that's kind of more something I can look at on video. And I said this last week, I didn't come up with a new pitch this turn through. I'm going to throw fastballs and splits, and sprinkle in some sliders. That's kind of my game, and I will take a look at maybe picking some times on their runners. They're a really good running team, so kind of going into that, I need to know, all right, spots when I can slide step and when I need to be quick, and what guys are going to try to steal third base from second, and there's a lot of different aspects of their game that they try to take advantage of. So, and that's why they're here.
And just out of curiosity, was it strange running in from the bullpen for the celebration as opposed to hopping over the railing from the dugout?
Yeah, it was. It was actually kind of cool because the last time I've been to the American League Championship Series was in 2014. We beat the Tigers, and I was out of the bullpen, and I ran in from the bullpen in Detroit. And so it's kind of a full circle moment, cool moment for sure.
All right, Kev, thank you so much. Have a great series. Appreciate it.